changing right now in venture capital and early stage investing, and it is changing very quickly. Here's a question from Leonard Omazix. To what extent are you guys interested in longevity? In your opinion, what technologies could help us live longer and healthier lives? Friedberg, that's got your name on it. Why don't we start with you?
On this one, I would point folks to read the book Lifespan by David Sinclair, who's a researcher at Harvard, and he's done a lot of kind of leading work on basically calling aging a disease and life extension. So the book Lifespan highlights, I think, a lot of his research and findings and paths forward for improving longevity. And basically, it comes down to what he defines as kind of an early switch that evolved in evolutionary biology in every cell, in every living organism, where the cell is either in growth mode or repair mode. And the trick is, can you get the gene to switch on that puts the cell into repair mode? And if you do that, the cell fixes itself and the cell lasts longer and the organism lives longer. And so they've identified a number of genes that trigger this and a number of compounds that trigger expression of those genes. And there's a number of things you can do lifestyle-wise to trigger these genes, basically to get yourself to live longer. So fasting is a good one. And then there's a bunch of compounds that you can take that mimic fasting on a cellular level, like metformin and rapamycin.
I'm on metformin.
I think a couple of you guys are on metformin, right?
Yeah.
And then the NAD plus supplements, which you can buy.
What are those? You say NMN supplements?
Yeah, NMN and NAD plus. So there's two compounds, NMN, like Nancy, Mike, Nancy, and then NR. And those you can buy a product called True Niagen on Amazon, which has those compounds, and you take about 1,000 milligrams a day. And anyway, all of this stuff's laid out in his books, and it supports a lot of the research that's being done. Obviously, fasting and exercise also trigger this gene expression and enable kind of measures of longevity to kind of be showing up biologically. But I think it's an emerging field, and there's a lot of deep work going on. And as people have highlighted, the process of aging is a biological process that theoretically we can stop and potentially reverse. And there's a lot of new work that's being done in stem cell therapy that may kind of elicit some new paths forward here. So arguably, someone is alive on planet Earth today that could live past the age of 200. So it's an exciting field and lots of kind of paths forward.
I'll tell you for what it's worth, my regimen. And
oh God, here we go. Thirst trap photo coming in. 3, 2, 1.
So I do the following. So I take a statin now. It was 10 milligrams. Now I'm at 20 milligrams. I take metformin, and all of this I take sort of in a preventative posture because my cholesterol wasn't super high, but it wasn't super low. It was like sort of like in the 160, 170, 180, but now it's sort of like 120. And then metformin I take preventatively as well. I'm not pre-diabetic. And then a couple of vitamin D and some other stuff. But then here are these things that I do that I think could be valuable for some folks listening. There are these places now that exist. They're popping up. One company that you can check out is called Prenuvo, Prenuvo. They're in Vancouver. They're in LA. They're in Redwood City, so mid-peninsula for those in Silicon Valley. And what you can do is you can get a head-to-toe MRI. So, there's no radiation. You could do these things, every other week if you wanted to. It takes about an hour. And what happens is they can basically look through your entire body, your musculature, your organs, from the tip of your head all the way down to your ankles. And they can spot a lot of stuff that may not otherwise be seen. And so, every 3 or 4 years to get one of these scans, you could see a lesion. You could see the beginnings of a tumor. I did one a few weeks ago. Touch wood, it was great. Nothing. How
much does it cost?
There's a range of prices, and I think those prices will come down. The range of prices are from like $1,500 to $2,500, so it's not expensive. It's not cheap. Sorry, but here's what they're able to do. They're building a corpus of all these images where they're running machine learning on it, and they're getting better at identifying anomalies. And so as a result of that, they're able to actually take the MRI images and they can do fewer and fewer scans to get the equivalent resolution. So two things will happen. One is the scan time will come down, right? So it was an hour and a half. Now it's sort of right under an hour. it can probably be as low as 40 minutes, which is relatively tolerable for most people. And then the cost will come down into the hundreds of dollars because you'll be able to very rapidly assess. So I do that. And then the second thing is for anybody with heart disease in their family, I really implore you. One of my friends actually is flying down from Toronto. I'm taking him to my cardiologist in LA. And there's a thing called heart flow. And what heart flow is a contrast CT, which basically means they inject a dye and then they put you under a CT and they map out your heart. And you can literally see the calcium buildup. You can see the state of your arteries. And, you know, what probably people don't know is when you have a calcium score, you know, most of us it's 0, but when it starts to be non-zero, it doubles every year. And by the time it gets into the thousands, you're basically guaranteed to get some form of cardiac issue. And so it doesn't seem like anything if your cardiac score is 20, except it goes to 40, 80, 160, and all of a sudden within 5-6 years, you're really in the red zone for a heart attack or something. I've done it twice now. Every 5 years I do it. And touch wood, you know, my calcium score is still 0. But in any event, that's what I do for longevity. I kind of preventatively at the cellular level with some drugs and then just trying to catch cancer and heart disease on the front end. Otherwise, eat 3 balanced meals and exercise and sleep a lot.
Sacks, you obviously don't care about longevity. Any thoughts here? I mean,
Sacks has looked like he's 1,000 years old since he was 7.
No, when he was in 12th grade, he looked like he was a vice president of the United States. Yeah.
Guys, just let me know when this conversation is over. I've been doing my email.
It's so great. All right, here we
Sacks
go.
is like, end my life now. I fucking hate it.
You guys
He's
don't
like,
know.
I just lost 2 years right now.
Sacks has got an early spot both on the rocket ship to Mars, and he's got an inside VIP to Peter Thiel's Blood Boy project. And so either way, he's getting off the planet or he's going to refresh his blood or both. So he's